panel discussion on Global Beans Outlook. For this will be moderated by Mr. Pritesh Nandu of Himatlal Hilji and Company. On the panel, we have Ms. Kangalingji of Agritech Busan Trading Company Limited, who will be with us on a virtual call. We also have Mr. Abhishek Bhandari of PR Bhandari and Giulio Marlucci of Hopergraus, Brazil, who are with us in the flesh. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'll hand you on to your moderator and also member of the committee of IPGA, Mr. Pritesh Nandu. He's also the man behind Himatlal Hilji and Company. Global Beans Outlook, panel discussion, all yours, sir.
Welcome, friends, to the panel discussion on global outlook of beans with the Indian perspective. We have a very unique panel over here. Mr. Giulio is an MBA in agriculture and representing Cupragas company, which is one of the largest exporter of beans from Brazil. Mr. Abhishek Bhandari of BR Bhandari Group is one of the biggest light speckled kidney beans importer in India. Our group companies import brown eye beans and LSKB beans also. Ms. Kang from China is a very reputed supplier of good quality Chinese kidney beans to India. Beans are the most colorful and oldest of all pulses. They have very unique shape and size and have very different colors, sometimes a mixture of 2 or more colors. Recently, in Israel, a 14,000-year-old seed of fava beans was found. One more interesting thing is, as we eat rajma chawal in India, same way in Brazil, they eat arroz com feijão, rice with beans, same culture. Light speckled kidney beans is one of the most consumed beans in India. It is locally grown, also imported from Brazil, South Africa, China, Ethiopia, and to some extent, Tanzania and Uganda. Ms. Kang and Abhishek will throw more light on this. I would like to highlight a very interesting point and would like to thank the government of India, the government of Maharashtra, and our farmers to giving us a bumper crop of LSKB in India this season. The variety is very good and also the yield is nice, giving more income to the farmers, less price to the consumer, and export potential for India. Brown eye beans and black eye beans are grown all over India. The Patna variety, the small choli in Gujarat, the brown and black eye beans in Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka. Apart from this, we import black eye beans from Madagascar, brown eye beans from Brazil, and brown and black eye beans from Myanmar. There are many varieties of beans locally grown to different culture in India. Chiefly, we grow in India and also import some of these, the red kidney beans, the small red kidney beans, the lima beans, butter beans, moat beans, Indian small choli, white pea beans, kachwal, and similarly, each state has its own variety of beans. Ms. Kang is going to join us through a video presentation. I would play her video now. Please listen to the last 1 minute of her video. There is a very interesting point which will change the future of bean business. Excuse me.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Chairman of IPGA, for this opportunity to be here today. It's my honor to address this conference virtually. I'm from China. My name is Kang Lingzhi, manager of Agritech Busan Trading Corporation Limited. We were involved in the international business of all kinds of pulses for almost 30 years. Indian market has been one of our major destinations of export, mostly for light speckled kidney beans and red kidney beans. I've traveled to India many times to work together with my partners. Absolutely, we've got good business cooperation with my Indian partners with great achievements. And I would like to take this opportunity to say thanks to all my Indian partners. Thank you for your support and trust in the past 20 to 30 years. Currently, export from China started to decrease since 2021, mostly because of the Chinese policy. China government encouraged farmers to plant more soybean and corn by providing high subsidy to farmers in recent years. So farmers reduced the plantation of all kinds of pulses. For example, black kidney beans was main variety produced in China with big quantity of more than 300,000 metric tons in 2010 and was exported to Cuba, to Brazil, to Costa Rica, and European countries. But until 2022, local production decreased only a few thousand metric tons. The same situation for the white kidney beans, previously produced 30 to 50,000 metric tons, but since 3 years before, only small quantities of navy beans left now. As for the light speckled kidney beans, which were mostly sold to Indian market, for the past 20 years, China export to Indian market was around 50 to 80,000 metric tons each year. However, this number dropped sharply to 18,000 metric tons in 2021. And for 2022 crop, the number dropped more, which is only 5,000 metric tons shipped to Indian market. As for the future, I don't think there won't be much chance to sell more to Indian market because of the China higher cost and the low price in Indian locally origin, and also for the cargoes from other countries like Brazil, South Africa, and other African countries. Of course, in China, there is also some other pulses, like about 20,000 metric tons of purple speckled kidney beans and a few thousand metric tons of light speckled kidney beans round shape that were all sold to China local market with a higher price. The price is even more than $2,000. More and more pulses consumed locally in China domestic market. Despite of the decrease of production quantity, China's domestic consumption of pulses increased year by year. Thanks to the increasing consumption level and people's health consciousness of daily diet, more and more people are going to be vegetarian. Obviously, China has been shifting from one of the major exporter to the main importer of all kinds of pulses. China has become the biggest importer of green mung beans and azuki beans. Much more quantities of other pulses like navy beans, dark red kidney beans, cowpeas, chickpeas, lentils are also imported into China local market with different channels, both officially and unofficially through both trade. Last week, we just got the good news from our government. We can import the dry idle beans from India directly, like the LSKB, PSKB, ISKB, and all kinds of split beans. I think that's great. Hopefully, we can get good volume of all kinds of pulses from Indian part. Lastly, thank you for attending. I look forward to exploring more opportunities to import more pulses from all over the world. I sincerely welcome members of this conclave to contact with me for future business possibilities. I wish you a healthy and productive meeting and a great success in business. Thanks again for your time.
The interesting part was that China was the main supplier of LSKB to India, about 25-30,000 tons a few years or decade back. Now they are looking to import from India. So the strength of India and the strength of our farmers is very evident. And another major good thing is many countries cannot directly export to China. It goes through some unofficial channel via Vietnam, or only a few countries are allowed. And India is one of the countries which is allowed to export to China. This is a huge, huge opportunity for India. Now I would request Mr. Abhishek to throw light on the Indian scenario of the light speckled kidney beans and give us more insight.
First of all, I would like to congratulate the IPJ team for putting up a very good show. They have been working very hard for the last 6 months. Today I will be covering the Indian perspective and the outlook for beans in India. If you look at the kidney beans consumption in India, it mostly comprises of the varieties given on the slide. The light speckled kidney beans, which is the the most consumed beans in India, and it is followed by the red kidney beans, which comes in smaller sizes and the long shape, the red speckled kidney beans, and the white beans, black beans, and the bonita beans. They are the beans which are consumed in small pockets, and they are a very niche variety of beans. There are no official figures from the government because the beans business does not contribute not even more than 5% of the entire pulses trade. So the total beans consumption in India is around 120,000 to 130,000 metric tons. In this, the light speckled kidney beans is mostly the maximum consumed beans in India. The total consumption of the light speckled kidney beans is 75,000 metric tons. And earlier, if you can see in the slide on the map, the red dots are the regions where the light speckled kidney beans is grown in India. 60,000 tons roughly was the imported variety. We had to import 60,000 metric tons earlier, and the local production was around 15,000 metric tons. But from the last year, there has been a change in scenario. If you see this slide, the green dots which are shown in the map, these are the regions where the light speckled kidney beans has been grown for the first time. Because of maybe some efforts from the government for the irrigation schemes, people are now opting to sow the light speckled kidney beans in these areas against the desi chickpeas or the jawar, like the millets we were talking about. The MSP, the price of the desi chickpeas have been below for the last 2-3 years. So that reason, the farmers are now opting more for the kidney beans, and they are getting a very good yield as well. So we expect that the local crop this year will be around 35,000 metric tons. So which is a very big shift from the last year, almost more than double. And there is another third crop, like the farmers are now taking 3 crops a year, because the average yield time for the kidney beans is less than 90 days. It is around 80-85 days. So now people are planting another crop which is expected in April and May. So we expect that maybe in future India will be an exporter for kidney beans rather than importer. If you look at the imported varieties, I have generally taken the figures of the new crops which have been imported, like the Brazil, which starts harvesting in June. So that is the major exporter for India. It is around 20,000 metric tons this year till date. And the totals, and the Ethiopia, China and other countries which have come in small quantities, the total import this year till date has been around 35,000 metric tons. So moreover, if you see that, if you see the beans, light speckled kidney bean scenario in India, currently we feel that the stocks are sufficient, but lot will depend again on the amount of exports which are possible, because there have been some inquiries for the Indian variety for exports, as the prices are quite low, and that will decide the future. There is another variety, the red kidney beans, the smaller size, which is around, the consumption is around 25,000 metric tons. And the local crop this year has been very low for the small size red kidney beans. It was around just below 2,000 metric tons. Generally, the crop size is around 8,000 to 10,000 metric tons. But this year, the local variety, the crop is very low because of the untimely rains. Mostly the major exporters for this variety are Ethiopia, Kyrgyzstan and other African countries, and very small quantity is exported from China. There is also a drought this year in southern African countries like Uganda and Kenya. So there is going to be a pressure on the supply side, as a lot of kidney beans from Ethiopia are going to the Uganda and Kenya. So we expect the price to remain firm this year. The another variety is the long shape red kidney beans. Myanmar is the major supplier, and the Uganda also has started supplying this for the last 2 years. The total consumption in India is around 10,000 metric tons. The Myanmar crop also this year is below expectations. Like the last year, the general crop is around 25,000 metric tons. But this year it is below 20,000 metric tons, and China is aggressively buying the kidney beans from Myanmar. So we don't expect the price to go below. I think the price will remain firm. And the interesting thing is this year, India has also planted the red kidney beans long shape for the first time, though in small quantities. But we expect that maybe next year we can have at least 5,000 metric tons, around about 500 metric tons is expected this year. And next year the quantity can double because farmers are getting a better yield in this kidney beans as well. The red speckled kidney beans, the total consumption is around 9,000 to 10,000 metric tons. We mostly import this from the African countries. This year, Pakistan did buy some quantities before the payment issues. So, most of the quantity is not now available for imports. But we have a very good crop coming up in Bihar. We expect it to be around 6,000, 7,000 metric tons this year. And lot will depend on, because China is a buyer right now for red speckled kidney beans. So lot will depend on at what price does China come for buying. So we expect the price to go down when the Bihar crop comes, but later on it all will be dependent on the China buying. These are some niche varieties like white beans, black beans and the bonita cream beans which comes from Ethiopia. So these crops actually are consumed in very niche pockets, very small areas, and the production also is not very big in India. So mostly we depend on imports for these varieties. The cream beans, its prices depend, it is majorly a substitute for the red kidney beans in Jammu region. So the price of this bonita cream beans, they depend on the price of the red kidney beans. So if the red kidney beans price go higher, we expect this price to also go higher. I will also be covering the Indian perspective of the brown eye beans. So if you see, the total consumption in India for brown eye beans is around 55,000 metric tons. Earlier, Rajasthan and Gujarat, they were the major producers for the brown eye beans in India. But the trend has been shifting. The Andhra Pradesh, the crop is growing every year. And this year, it was around 4,000 metric tons, was a major contributor for the Indian crop. So total production in India is around 11,000 metric tons. And the imported variety, the Brazil is the major exporter for brown eye beans to India. 27,000 metric tons have been imported till date, and some small quantities from Myanmar and Madagascar. If you look at the brown eye bean scenario, there is quite a good amount of stock here which is left around, and also some trade has been happening from Brazil. So we expect that the price will remain steady for a few months, and maybe at the end price might go a little up. This year actually the brown eye beans consumption, if you see before COVID, the government used the brown eye beans in their meals for children program, like they were giving in the schools. So they were a major buyer, but post-COVID that has come down. So the consumption has also come down in brown eye beans. Thank you.
I would request Mr. Julio of Cupragas, Brazil, to please present his presentation.
Hello everyone, thank you for RPGA. It's an honor for me to share information about the Brazilian market, and congratulations, this is an amazing event. This is the best RPGA that I can. So, let's start with light speckled kidney beans. Here we can see the average historic price since 2019. So in 2019, Brazil start export to India. India don't want to pay high price, want to know the product, and Brazil also sold average price in 2019 about around $980. In 2020, $1,250. In 2021, the price catch $1,600 when the market stay here $1,700, but the average price $1,470. And in this last year, 2022, the price is the highest price is $1,530, and the lowest price $1,300. So average price $1,400. Here we can see the quantities that Brazil export to India. So in 2019, 50,000 tons. In 2020, in the next slide, we can see why Brazil exported low quantity to India, 4,800 tons. In 2021, 32,000 metric tons. In 2022, 24,000 metric tons. So in 2020, now in the next slide, you can see why Brazil exported low quantity to India. So in 2020, South Africa bought 58% light speckled kidney beans from Brazil. So India bought 41%. So sometimes South Africa is our competitor, but sometimes also South Africa can buy from Brazil. No? So in 2020, this is an example when the South Africa came to buy from Brazil. South Africa bought 271 containers, India bought 193 containers. In 2022, India bought more. So India bought 92% of light speckled from Brazil, 1,370 containers. South Africa, 96 containers. In 2022, India bought 88% of total light speckled exported from Brazil. And in 2022 also, Brazil is starting developing new markets. New markets, another markets also are knowing the Brazilian quality, like India, Algeria, Turkey, Dubai, Portugal, South Africa, Yemen. This is the irrigation, how Brazil produces in Brazilian light speckled kidney beans. The production is producing by irrigate area. So all light speckled exported from Brazil is producing in this system. So when the rain season, the farmers skip the storage the water, and in the dry season, he used the system like this. So, the final consideration about Brazilian light speckled kidney beans is important. India need to know that in Brazil there is a consumption also. So Brazil export like 50% of production. Brazil are getting new markets. Another markets are knowing about Brazilian quality. In the last year we developed new markets. Some markets pay the premium also for Brazil. For 2023 crop, the seeding time will be in April, May. The harvest starts in July to September. So the area should be less, but it's early to say, no? The main competitor of light speckled kidney beans in Brazil is Carioca beans. Carioca beans has 70% of total consumption in beans in Brazil. So this is the number one beans in Brazil, Carioca beans. So the farmer, when you produce beans in irrigated area, he need to decide Carioca beans or another beans. But Carioca beans produce more and have a very good domestic market. Irrigated area in Brazil, irrigated production have a very high cost. So it's impossible when we talk about Brazilian light speckled kidney beans, it's impossible we reach price like an Indian crop. Some people talk $700 here, $800 here. So this is impossible to get these levels. No? So now let's talk about Brazilian brown eye beans. Here we can see the average historic prices also from 2019 to 2022. So in 2019, the price was $650. In 2020, $780. In 2021, this is the record, $930. And this last year, 2022, $780. This is average, no? The Brazilian brown eye beans exports to India in 2019, 38,000 metric tons. In 2020, 28,000 metric tons. 2021, 45,000 metric tons. In 2022, 24,000 metric tons. And we can see in 2021, it's record in price, a record in quantity also to India. Here we can see the market share from Brazil, from Brazilian brown eye beans. So 61% last year Brazil exports to India, 17% Pakistan, 70% also Egypt, and 4% Portugal. Now is the time to seeding time in Brazil for brown eye beans, and we had some issue. In January, February, rained too much, and the harvest of soybeans very late. The end of the deadline for seeding time will be in 5 of March, but situation is still like this. We cannot get harvest soybeans, and we cannot seeding brown eye beans. So this year, because this situation, in some areas in Brazil, we can lose the right time to seed in brown eye beans. So in this year, the area should be less. So the final consideration for Brazilian brown eye beans, there is a consumption also. It's important to Indian buyers know, to Indian importers, that 70% of quantity that Brazil produce is domestic market. We export only 30% of brown eye beans produced in Brazil. In 2023 crop, the deadline for seeding time will be now in 5 of March. This year, we believe area will decrease for sure, 13%, minimum 30% less. The main competitor, when the farmer decides to seed in the brown eye beans, the main competitor is maize, corn, and this year the price is very good. So the farmers prefer to seed in corn in Brazil than beans. This is for our beans, no? Another consideration is the freight rates is coming down from Brazil to India, to Asia. We can see in this 2023, the countries that produce soybeans and corn, the farmers are looking to produce more soybeans and corn because price. So we can see this year the less offer for all type of beans. So thank you so much. Namaste.
Thank you, Julio. Alec is here to warn us. Time is over. Just one question for both the panelists, and it's over. Abhishek, with the increase of Indian LSKB, what do you see the future of prices of LSKB, of the Indian crop, and also of the imported Brazilian crop?
I think the prices will remain more or less steady for this next month as the crop is still harvesting in India, and that will keep the pressure on the prices. And later on, actually, it all will depend on how much amount of quantity is exported because the prices are quite low here. They are around about 1000 FOB for good quality. And so there is a very likely chance of this being very attractive for exports. So it will all depend on how much quantity is exported from here.
Thank you. And Julio, one question. What do you see the future of brown eye beans in the short term and your new season in June, July?
For brown eye beans, for sure, the area will decrease 30%, minimum 30% for sure, because two reasons. The corn price, the farmers prefer to seed in corn price in Brazil. It's easier to produce, no color, no moisture, no nothing. And also the situation that I showed the pictures, the situation there is, everything is late in Brazil. So now, if farmers seeding in the out of window, the production will be less. The yield production also will decrease.
That's all for us to see. Thank you. Thank you, audience. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nandu. May I please request to wait on stage? May I request Mr. Pradeep Jindal, and member of the committee, to please step up on stage and...
I have a special this thing. We are honored to have Mr. Edmir Zanella of Cupragas, the owner, who has done a lot of things for the pulses business, but he speaks Portuguese, so we could not have him on stage. I would just request Mr. Edmir to please come on the stage to join us.
Buenvendo and ¿cómo estás? Request Pradeep Jindal to start presenting mementos. First, of course, to our moderator, Mr. Pritesh Nandu from Untitled Chapter. From Copergos, I'd like to request both the gentlemen to step forward. Julio and the gentleman, both of you. Okay. Thank you. And completing the panel, Abhishek Bhandari from BR Bhandari. I'd request a panel photograph, please. Mr. Jindal, photograph of the panel. Thank you so much.